Cover heating and cooling costs will help thousands of Utahns to ensure that their families have access to the most basic household needs. To qualify for utility and water assistance, a household must earn below 150% of the federal poverty level, or about $39,750 per year for a family of four. Priority for heat is given to households with the highest energy burden in relation to the household income, while considering vulnerable individuals such as young children, individuals with disabilities, and elderly family members. Individuals can apply now for assistance if they have not applied with the program since October 2020. Last year, HEAT assisted, more than 32,000 Utah households with their utility programs. To learn more about the program and how to apply, visit jobs.utah.gov/heat or call 211. Officials have released new information about the drivers who hit a student near Layton High School. KUTV reports the 15-year-old was hit twice on her way to school. Officials from the Layton Police Department confirmed that one of the drivers was the father of a student, and the other driver was a current student. Police said after being hit the second time, the girl was stuck under that car and firefighters had to get her out. The girl was taken to Primary Children's Medical Center in critical condition. Students at the high school started their day with the sad news. Preston Brimhall, an 11th grader, told the whole school, said the whole school was quiet and everyone seemed sad. His classmate, Lulu Bender, said everyone is concerned about the girl. Bender said that she was just trying to go to school. It was early in the morning. She was just trying to make it to class on time, and that's not fair. Both students said the intersection is a tough one to cross. Bender said she crosses at that spot every morning. Brimhall said he feels like lights would help drivers to better see students crossing in the walk, and that when they have their headlights or brights on when it's storming outside, it's especially difficult to see pedestrians in the crosswalk. And the Idaho Division of Public Health Administration, or the administrator, Elke Shaw-Tulloch, says the rate of COVID-19 hospitalizations and newly confirmed coronavirus cases has been dropping in Idaho, but the numbers are still high enough to leave hospitals overtaxed. That means hospitals will remain under a crisis standards of care designation for now, giving them the ability to ration health care as needed to deal with high numbers of COVID-19 patients in intensive care units and hospital beds. Shaw-Tulloch said Tuesday that Idaho's positivity rate of new cases is still more than double the 5% goal set by the U.S. Centers of Disease Control and Prevention. KBNU News Time is 5:08, and let's get this update from ABC News on the New Jersey governor's race.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Daria Albinger. Several news organizations are projecting that Governor Phil Murphy has been reelected governor of New Jersey, the Democrat, fighting off a close challenge in yesterday's election from Republican Jack Ciattarelli. Murphy will be the first Democratic governor to be reelected in New Jersey in 44 years. Repeating, several news organizations are projecting that Democrat Phil Murphy has been reelected governor of New Jersey. I'm Daria Albinger, and this has been a special report from ABC News.
Updates every 30 minutes and breaking news as it happens. News Talk KVNU, your #1 radio station for news and talk.
Wow, Mike, you look terrific. How you liking the new job?
It's terrific, Meg. I've lost so much weight since working at Polylift, I need new pants.
How about we get you into something more comfortable?
Bet you my old bell bottoms will fit.
Well, what are we waiting for?
Get a job that'll make you fit. Polylift offers competitive wages and an active 9 to 5 that'll get your wife's attention. Visit poly-lift.com for more details or call or text 435-999-9309. Polylift is locally owned and operated.
Thursday edition, Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show 2 days after an incredibly important election. What is the fallout? We'll continue to break it all down for you, in particular what's going on Capitol Hill, and will Joe Biden break his silence? Plus, Buck.
The COVID pandemic continues on. The fight over whether children will be subject to vaccine mandates at the top of the headlines. We'll get into that and more coming up on the Clay and Buck Show.
10 to 1 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM and 610 AM.
There's a lot going on right now, and broadcasters are on the ground covering all of it, bringing you the weather, the traffic, and breaking news, all while entertaining you 24 hours a day. Someone needs to tell you what's going on around the world and in our hometowns, and that someone is us. We are free radio. We are always there. We are broadcasters. Visit wearebroadcasters.com or text radio to 52886 to learn more. Furnished by NAB and this station.
Hey, it's me, the regular dad. I ask guys like you a few questions, a kind of parenting test. So here goes. What is this sound? Yeah, that's a tough one, isn't it? That's the sound a young teenager makes when he's done something he regrets. Maybe he got caught up in peer pressure, tried a few drinks at a party, and the next morning, well, he makes this sound. Kind of a sad sound, isn't it? Hear the embarrassment, the reluctance, the pulling away? If you recognized it, then you know exactly what to do. Listen. It might take a long time. A drive together, or a walk that turns into a talk, and that turns into an arm around his shoulder that means you understand. That's when you can really talk, when he knows you understand. Then the both of you can figure out how not to make the same mistake again. I know, it's tough. Keep at it. You're doing great.
This message brought to you by The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. If you have thoughts on the election results here in Cache County, 753-5868, you're more than welcome to wade in. And I said in hour one, there weren't any real surprises for me. Incumbents won decisively in Logan City and in much of the rest of the valley. There was one upset in Smithfield. Incumbent mayor did not win re-election there, lost to the challenger. And then, as I mentioned in hour one, I predicted Prop 1 would go down. I did not think it would be by 4-1. That's a huge margin on that election. So that was, that was a decisive voter intent. I think that the voters, at least those who bothered to come out, definitely saying to the city, that they have a preference on this. So we'll see what happens with that. And it'll be interesting to watch as life cycle developments or life cycle zoning and developments continue to happen, and then get used to this type of thing. If it's not already happening in your city, if it's not already a debate in your city, it's coming to your city. But other than that, not a lot of surprises here in Cache Valley during the municipal races, at least as far as the preliminary numbers tell us. And most of these margins, in fact, all of these margins, are large enough that any remaining votes to be tallied before official certification, several days from now, it's not going to change anything. There aren't any real close races other than there is a one city council race that's a bit too close to call here in Cache Valley. And then as of yet, this is what I wanted to talk about. No one's heard from Paradise or Wellsville. Paradise, Wellsville, welcome to 2021. You have the internet. I know you have the internet. What gives? Just absolutely crickets. It amazes me that there.
Maybe both towns went on vacation somewhere.
Sure,
they're out of town.
Well, I got curious. I know these are not wealthy cities. I know that Logan City has the revenue to be able to afford a much fancier, whiz-bangier website and a lot more online services. And then there's probably also a lot more demand. Well, not probably. There definitely is a lot more demand for online services in Logan City as opposed to Paradise and Wellsville. But I took a second to go check out the Wellsville website, and you got to at least try, folks. That's all I'm saying. You've got to at least try. This is how a lot of people get their information, not just the media, and at least give it a shot, to say the least. All right, that's the end of my griping. But again, no real surprises, and I don't know that that's a bad thing or a good thing. It might just be our turnout was high. I think that's good. Not as high as it should be still, but much higher than it was 10 years ago before we started with the mail-in balloting. So that's all a good sign. About 40%, Cache County Clerk Jess Bradfield said, and attributed that to how easy it is to vote here in Cache Valley and throughout Utah, really. So what do you think? 753-5868. Everyone's going to read this in their own way, but what makes this kind of interesting right now is that there's a lot afoot in Cache Valley, especially Logan. So much happening in Logan, from downtown to new housing developments to that finally something happening with that 3rd North block, to changes to 4th North, to talking with UDOT about potential realignments here and there. Just so much happening. And this is, voters have weighed in. This is, for the next few years at least, everyone reelected or elected has the go-ahead, basically, from at least those who bothered to share their opinion, to continue down this path. And so I think that, it's change is hard, and not every decision is going to be perfect. Not every plan is going to be perfect, but it's kind of nice to sort of sit back and see, things. Like I said, I have concerns. I think some, at least, of the opposition to the development in Providence that led to Proposition 1 going down in flames yesterday, some of that at least is NIMBYism, not in my backyardism, which is not healthy, not realistic, and really just stops your city from being able to plan ahead. And so then you end up by accident looking like Syracuse or that general area because you couldn't plan where the housing was, where the business district was. Everything had to happen patchwork over the years because everybody was against everything. That worries me. I hope that doesn't become a pattern or a trend in Cache Valley at large. But again, I have no reason to believe that was the entirety of the opposition to Proposition 1. There were some pretty legitimate concerns about the development itself that were presented right here on our show by representatives of the opposition to the development, and also, I could think of some myself. So, but that said, these types of developments are going to be a part of our future no matter what. It's just the reality we all have to wrap our heads around, unless we want to make some really tough choices, which we don't. So, I think I think other than that tiny little bit of let's hope this isn't the signs of a resurgence of NIMBYism, I think other than that, there are a lot of good signs around Cache Valley. And we're in a unique position here in Cache Valley in which we've got the opportunity to plan some of this out. We don't, and I'm hard on Syracuse, and that's just my go-to. If you've ever driven through, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There is no road in or out of Syracuse that goes faster than 30 miles an hour because they had to put their schools where there was space left to do so. The subdivisions were built and built and built without any thought to how things were being laid out. And so then when they wanted to expand their business district, the city had to pay millions to buy back homes so that there was room for a business district because they realized that no businesses wanted to be in the city because there was nowhere to be. Nowhere good, at least. Anyway, so you can avoid all of this type of thing by planning 5-10 years ahead. And every city in the valley most cities in the valley seem to be wrapping their heads around that. At least the bigger ones, the ones that should probably be most concerned about this in the first place, are definitely at least attempting to wrap their heads around it. And so that's good. That gives us the opportunity to avoid some of these things and not end up in a situation where you're looking back going, oh, man, I wish we would have planned this instead of just, putting Band-Aids on it every time a problem arose, throwing up a subdivision here and a building there, just wherever there was space without any thought to okay, how do we want this laid out as it gets more crowded? We have that opportunity, and I think that was reflected in the elections. I think you have Logan City voters saying, we might not agree with everything. We might not think everything's perfect, but we like the direction things have been going. And things have been going pretty fast in that direction in Logan. And voters have given it the thumbs up. Again, in Providence, I don't think the entirety of the opposition to Prop 1 was NIMBYism. I think there was some of that, and there was some exaggeration. This was labeled on the website of the opposition, extreme high density. It's not extreme high density. It never was. So there is place for us all to grow, I guess I'm saying. But I'm kind of encouraged by this. I'm encouraged by people through their ballots yesterday, at least saying, let's not bring all this to a screeching halt. We might not like it. The preference I know mine might always be that things stay the same. I wish there was far more open space in the areas I used to ride my bike as a kid than there is now. But I'm realistic, and I think we all need to be. There's a lot of growth happening and more coming. And everyone's got to live somewhere. Everyone's got to drive somewhere. Again, unless you want to say we're going to cap the population and when anybody turns 18, they got to move. Unless you want to say that, we've got to wrap our heads around this. And I think in the elections last night, for the most part, you saw voters saying, all these changes, all these new directions that have happened over the last few years in every city. I think in every city but Providence, I guess, you saw voters say, let's keep going. Baby steps, but let's keep going. What do you think? Check it out. I've posted the detailed election results from the Cache County Clerk's Office on our Facebook page. Coming up, though, we'll talk about an area where there were some big surprises. In fact, 9 cities in Davis County dumped most of their incumbents. I have no idea what this is about, but it has to be about something. We'll speculate after this here on KVN News for the People.
NMLS 1817019.
Want the lowest mortgage rate? Don't go to a bank or credit union. LendRight Mortgage's rates are often at least 0.25% lower than other lenders. Listen to these Google reviews from very happy clients. Mary, I did my due diligence and compared 3 other companies, and none of them could compete with the rates offered by LendRight Mortgage. David, LendRight had the best rate we could find, and we shopped pretty heavily. Megan, they got me a great interest rate, much lower than competitors. Landon, from start to finish, they were great. Other companies couldn't touch their rates. Ron, on top of the superior service, I also got a 1.75% rate. Wow. This is why we confidently offer a $1,000 lowest rate guarantee. Rates in the ones will soon be gone. Call 801-APPROVE or visit lendrightmortgage.com.
This is James Stevens with White Pine Funeral Services. We often hear people say, I wish I could use White Pine, but I've already paid for arrangements elsewhere. Know that if you've already pre-planned with a different funeral home, you can still call White Pine. If you are being told you'll lose up to 25% of your money, White Pine will provide a discount equal to any fee for switching. If you have any questions, please stop by for a visit or give us a call. We would love to meet you and explain in more detail.
White Pine Funeral Services, here when you need us most.
Stop saying, it's not my problem.
It's not a big deal.
It was a one-time incident.
Who am I to say how someone should discipline their kids?
That doesn't happen in our community.
They're our friends. I don't want to get involved. He said he would hurt me.
I'm afraid to go to sleep.
I didn't know better.
5 children die every day from abuse and neglect. That's 5 too many. Help end child abuse and neglect. Visit childhelp.org for more information on how you can help.
Social Security is with you through life's journey from birth to retirement. As your life changes year to year, so do your needs. For over 80 years, Social Security has helped to meet your needs and is committed to improving access to the services that make a difference in your life. Today, you can verify your earnings, estimate your future benefits, apply for retirement, manage your benefits, and even change your address, all from the comfort of your home. Social Security's online services help put you in control with secure access to your information anytime, anywhere, allowing you to spend more time with family, friends, or simply just enjoying the day. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow. See what you can do online at socialsecurity.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Welcome back to KBN News for the People. Healthcare providers throughout Utah this week began opening COVID-19 vaccine appointments for children ages 5 to 11. Starting today, after federal officials yesterday gave the green light for what the Salt Lake Tribune called a kid-size Pfizer shot. About 50,000 Pfizer doses arrived in Utah yesterday, by the way. And the director of the Utah Department of Health said another bunch should arrive Thursday. A third shipment is then expected Friday or Monday. And in total, there will be about 109,000 total doses in Utah within the next few days. So demand is already pretty high, according to Nate Checketts, again, director of the Utah Department of Health. He said parents have been calling for weeks after federal approval has been hinted at, and then after yesterday's announcements, the calls really started coming. He said families are ready to go for their kids aged 5 to 11. The doses that arrived on Tuesday have already been distributed to healthcare providers, clinics, and things like that. 2/3 going to local health districts, and the rest sent directly into the healthcare system, pharmacies and pediatricians, things like that, family practitioners. And Dr. Michelle Hoffman of Utah Department of Health's deputy director said in an announcement today that local health departments have these larger clinics set up so parents will be able to take their kids, similar to the way things started with age 65 and older here in Utah last spring. They'll be doing something similar with kids to get this out and happening fast. On Wednesday, the Salt Lake County Health Department started offering free vaccines at about 7 different sites for children in the 5 to 11 age group. And starting Monday, children 5 to 11 can receive doses of the Pfizer vaccine without an appointment at various sites all along the Wasatch Front and in Salt Lake County. So it'll take just a few days longer to get things set up and running here in Cache County, according to the Utah Department of Health, and some other more rural areas. But for those who don't want to wait, there are some clinics set up already along the Wasatch Front and in Salt Lake County and other locations coming soon. They expect that things will really be up and running by next Monday. And Hoffman said doctors and pediatricians are going to play a critical role in vaccinating this specific population, the 5 to 11 age group. They expect doctors to primarily be leading this, proactively reaching out to patients with information they need to, make an appointment and get vaccinated. And then county and regional health departments will serve as sort of a backup to that. Jill Parker, current executive director of the Utah Association of Local Health Departments and former spokesperson for and just all-around fun person for the Northern Utah Health District, the Bear River Health Department. Jill Parker said they represent 13 local health districts, and she said some county and regional health departments are more than ready to distribute kid-sized doses than others, so it's going to take a while to coordinate this, but she said that is in part because local districts weren't expecting final federal approval so soon. It came late yesterday, and they weren't expecting it until next week, so they were in the midst of planning and ramping this up, and now suddenly they've gotten the green light. So Jill said that they're working to speed that up and get things up and running in Summit County, here in the Northern Health District, the Weber Morgan Health District, and more. So expect announcements on scheduling appointments, and then expect those appointments to actually begin being fulfilled sometime early next week, and then really ramping up as the week goes on. So specifically here in Cache, Box Elder, and Rich counties, the advisement from the Bear River Health Department is to, at this time, pre-register your children for an upcoming appointment. These will take place at clinics in Logan, Tremont, and Brigham City, and they start today. But again, this is all ramping up very quickly. So appointments are not necessary, but they're asking people to pre-register their children, make an appointment in advance to help them facilitate this and make it go as smoothly as possible. So again, starting today, you can pre-register for an appointment that could be as soon as later today or tomorrow. I assume at this time it's probably going to be tomorrow at the earliest, for a vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine for your children aged 5 to 11. In the southern part of the state, appointments aren't going to begin until Monday. By the end of next week, they expect that it will be a statewide effort to vaccinate this age group. So I've linked to the story on our Facebook page if you'd like to see it, why the approval came a few days earlier, about 7 days earlier than expected, and how health districts like Bear River Health Department are really scrambling to get these clinics up and running, and where you can pre-register for a dose for your children. All of that linked on our Facebook page. And we'll be back with more of For the People after this look at the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 5:31. The news is brought to you by U&I Furniture. With vaccines now available for kids ages 5 to 11, the Bear River Health Department announced that parents in Cache, Box Elder, and Rich counties should pre-register children before walking into BRHD facilities in Logan, Brigham City, and Tremonton. A Box Elder County man between 65 and 84 years of age is one of 14 new COVID-19 deaths reported today by the Utah Department of Health. That leaves Utah's total number of deaths during the pandemic at 3,262. It is the 163rd death in northern Utah. UDOH also reported 2,152 new statewide coronavirus infections since Tuesday. This adds to the state's 556,463 positive cases since the outbreak. There are 127 new cases in Cache, Box Elder, and Rich counties, and the total northern Utah case count has reached 30,931, with 29,346 northern Utahns listed as totally recovered, while 1,433 in the district have been hospitalized during the pandemic. Statewide, 554 people are hospitalized with COVID-19, 22 more than reported Tuesday. 217 of them are in intensive care, 7 more than on Tuesday. Total hospitalizations in Utah since the start of the pandemic is 24,321. Some of the other mayoral and council races from the Valley. In Richmond, incumbent Mayor Jeff Young did not seek re-election, leaving Paul J. Erickson and Terry Wairenga to vie for that office. Erickson won that race with 63% of the vote, compared to 34% for Wairenga. In the race for 2 seats on the Richmond City Council, the candidates were Amber Irvin, Reese Holborn, Vern Fielding, and Lyle Bear. Bear and Irvin won those seats with 64 and 53% of the votes, respectively, while Fielding garnered 39% of the vote, and Holbert won 33%. Voter turnout in Richmond was 36.29%. In River Heights, incumbent Mayor Todd Rasmussen did not seek re-election. He will be replaced by Jason E. Thompson. Thanks to ranked choice voting, 6 candidates competed for 2 seats on the River Heights City Council. They were David Wayne Bush, Janet Humphreys Matthews, Jerry L. Pence, Nancy Huntley, Tyson Glover, and Lance Pitcher. After 5 rounds of balloting, Glover and Matthews won those seats with 50.6 and 53.8% of the vote, respectively. Their 4 competing candidates, Huntley, Bush, Pence, and Pitcher, were eliminated with 21 15, 13, and 10% of the vote, respectively. And in Smithfield, Mayor Jeffrey H. Barnes defended his post against challenger Chris Monson. Monson unseated the incumbent mayor by winning 58.11% of the vote, compared to Barnes' 41.89%, after Bart Cayley was eliminated in primary balloting. Jamie Anderson, Sue Heyer, Wade Campbell, and Andrew Lillywhite competed for 2 city council seats. The bids of Heyer and Campbell were successful, winning 54 and 51% of ballots cast, respectively. Anderson and Lillywhite each earned 39% of the vote. Voter turnout in Smithfield was 35.6%. KBNU News Time is 5:35.
As you've noticed, the season has changed, and the holidays are coming, and so are your guests. You need beds for them to sleep in and a new couch to sit on. Well, with family and friends coming, UNI Furniture is the place to help you be ready. Find the popular-selling queen-size therapeutic mattress for only $3.99. Or here's an idea. Move the bed you're sleeping on to the guest room and upgrade your mattress. See all the chairs, too, at UNI's Chair Heaven. Accent chairs, lift chairs, and, of course, recliners. There's always a better buy at UNI Furniture in downtown Logan.
KBNU weather for tonight: partly cloudy, patchy fog after midnight, low in the lower 30s, and then patchy morning fog giving way to partly cloudy skies, and around 60 for the high tomorrow. It's been to 57. It's 55 right now at KBNU. KBNU weather brought to you by Berenson Caldwell. When the bills from your accident pile up, it's time for you to consider professional legal advice. It's time for you to get the Bear, Berenson Caldwell. Visit berensonlaw.com. For more details on these and other stories, visit cachevalleydaily.com.
With a little help from Mother Nature's October snow, Whole Tree Care is slammed, and they're hiring. If you like to work with your hands, give Whole Tree Care a call, 760-6587. They need climbers and groundmen. Call them to clean up your large broken branches and trees, too, or get your trees trimmed before the next snowstorm. So whether you need a job or have a cleanup job for Whole Tree Care to do, call 760-6587. They have a certified arborist, the right equipment, the best cleanup crew, and the most experience. 760-6587.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Thursday on This Morning, America's First News, the ongoing fallout from the off-year election results. We'll have analysis. Plus, the military has released a base-by-base look at suicide numbers, what's being done about it. Also, how scammers use this time of year to catch you off guard to steal your identity. And it's about time to turn back the clock. We'll have ways you can cope. Thursday on This Morning, America's First News. From 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM. Your station for news and talk.
Welcome back to KBNU's For the People. Beautiful Wednesday afternoon here in Cache Valley. Forecast is for plenty of sun, and saw some bees out on some flowers still blooming today. So just little hints of, a few months from now, spring. Days are still getting shorter, unfortunately. Sun going down a lot earlier, but we're nearing that point when things start to turn the other direction. I'm already looking forward to it. But beautiful today. Take advantage of the weather. Enjoy being in Cache Valley. A lot of people aren't. Speaking of Cache Valley and northern Utah at large, very cool announcement from Utah State University recently that a $1.97 million grant spread out over 4 years from the United States Department of Agriculture had been awarded to researchers at Utah State University and Michigan State University. They'll split this grant and again spread it out over 4 years to research of all things a pretty big crop here in northern Utah, cherries. Why? Cherries have been around a long time, right? We probably know a lot about them already. Well, Brent Black, professor in USU's Department of Plants, Soils, and Climate, and the USU Extension fruit specialist, has spent 30 years researching crop management, and he'll be serving as the project lead on this. And again, this collaboration with researchers from USU and Michigan State is going to hopefully benefit growers everywhere. I didn't know this, but Michigan and Utah are consistently battling it out for the number 1 and number 2 spot, respectively, in tart cherry production in the United States. I had no idea. I knew a lot of cherries were grown here in northern Utah, but I had no idea that tart cherries were that Utah was oftentimes the number 1 state for growing tart cherries. Again, with Michigan occasionally stealing that number 1 spot from us, bumping us to number 2. But for the last several decades, Michigan and Utah have maintained those 1 and 2 slots for tart cherry production. Black said that cherries are a machine-harvested crop, and they're not as high value as other fruits, as price per pound. So in recent years, he said some foreign countries have been importing cherries below the cost of production, and that's put a pretty big strain on the industry here in the U.S. So he said the whole project is looking at ways that growers can better manage crops and increase profitability and efficiency in the growing process. And he explained that tart cherry orchards are very uniquely adapted to the climate along the Wasatch Front. So it makes them an important part of fruit industry here in Utah. And he said, as Black said, especially in the face of growing population and development pressures, this project will include research into different methods of collecting crop data to understand what's hindering a crop one year or helping a crop another year. But he said there will be a particular emphasis here in Utah on collecting thorough data efficiently, including ground-based and vehicle-mounted sensors, as well as using drones to collect data about the crops. Professor in USU's Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering, Alfonso Torres Rua, and also a member of the Aggie Air research program, had him here on the program a little while ago. He's going to be collaborating with them on this for the use of drones, et cetera, for research and collecting data about the crops. But Black said that this is the first time they'll be working with Aggie Air when it comes to crop management research. So he said they'll be using some pretty high-tech sensors mounted on drones that will collect hundreds of thousands of data points. And this will be, of course, faster than the way it's traditionally done, which is scouts going out on foot in ATV to monitor conditions in the orchard. And Black said data collected from the drone-mounted sensors will be compiled with data from the ground-based sensors, and they'll end up with this fancy three-dimensional picture of orchards that can be used to analyze different characteristics. So some of the things that they look at, I guess, crop density, soil health, of course, and disease, pest outbreaks, things like that. But he said, considering the past year here in Utah and Michigan not suffering quite as drastically when it comes to drought, though their water was down not as much as ours, it was still down. Black said drought strain is going to be a big part of this research because with drought comes more disease outbreaks, and these climate changes cause changes in the way of light is absorbed and even reflected by orchards. So he said drones are unique in this type of research to detect differences and make different targeting problems. Matt Yost, USU assistant professor of plant science and extension, he's what's referred to as an agroclimate specialist in this type of research, will be a part of this at USU as well, according to USU's new site, and said that they are currently developing tools to help growers, cherry growers here in Utah, make more efficient irrigation plans that are not only suited for the orchards, but also take into account the fact that, well, as we've seen this year, Utah is a desert state. Soil health has been a problem over the years recently for cherry growers here in Utah, and professors of soil science at USU Extension are going to be a part of this as well, examining soil and orchards in the study and how different characteristics, climate changes, watering schedules, and more create different inputs and outputs in the whole cultivation practice. So something else I didn't know until I read this news release today, the cherry orchards have a lifespan, about 30 years. And so growers of cherries here in Utah, every 30 years, well, not every 30 years total, but certain portions of their orchards that are nearing that 30-year mark, they have to make a decision at that point with these sections of their orchard that have aged out on whether to replace and continue growing cherries in the orchard. And what Utah has seen is that decision more and more often lately being to not do so, to use the land for something else, even sell the land for development and things like that. And so they're hoping to rescue this industry, basically. Black said his team will use research as an opportunity to help growers make decisions and accurately evaluate the health and profitability of these older orchards. He said the project is going to involve 8 different orchard blocks in Utah. And so they'll be looking at orchards of all different ages and combining it with this data collection, soil analysis, and more. And he said, without a doubt, growers should be able to make more informed decisions about when to pull the plug on a given portion of an orchard that is nearing that 30-year mark and switch to a new crop or begin again. So this is pretty cool stuff. Again, a $1.79 million grant from the U.S. Department of Ag for researchers at USU and Michigan State to look into this. And the project will, of course, benefit students as well. Student research assistants throughout this 4-year project will be a part of this. And Black says the funding will cover at least 2 graduate research positions and several undergraduate interns. And USU Extension's integrated pest management specialist, Marion Murray, from the Department of Biology, said they'll even get it on it, a chance for students there in that school to oversee collecting and analyzing pest data. This is the first time, by the way, in the history of the United States that such an extensive project researching cherry orchards has ever been undertaken. So, but again, a much bigger deal here in Utah than I'd realized. I knew there was a lot of cherry growing. I had no idea how much. I didn't know that they've got about 30 years on an orchard of productivity. Then they have to decide whether they want to start over again. And also surprised to see some of the effects that drought have had on the cherry growing here in Utah in general. So some big challenges ahead for this, but this grant is going to help. Some great pictures on USU's news site where this press release was posted today, showing some of the, as I mentioned earlier, some of the high-tech equipment that will be involved in this. One of these drones looks like a flying stop sign, basically, and another looks like something you might see in a sci-fi movie. Just some pretty cool stuff. So a teaming up of USU schools of soil, pest control, and crop research, combining their efforts with, of all the other research programs, Aggie Air, to use drones and more, capitalizing on this grant from the USDA to understand and better protect growers of cherries here in Utah. And again, the most surprising thing, didn't know this, Utah and Michigan for decades now, constantly vying and battling it out for that top 1 and top 2 spot of cherry growers here in the U.S., sadly being undersold by growers in other parts of the world, importing them at, disgustingly discounted prices in order to sell their crops over here. This research begins immediately, Black said, and for those who are interested in how the research is being done, as it does have applications for every crop grown in Utah down the road, said they'll be able to follow along. They're going to set up a YouTube channel and more, help people better understand the new age of crop research here in Utah. Check it out. I've linked to the USU news release from today on our Facebook page, and we'll be back with more of For the People right after this.
Ah, that's better. Trade in the stresses of building a new home for relaxation. Visionary Homes Priority is giving you a stress-free building experience. Named the best home builder in northern Utah, Visionary Homes team will guide you seamlessly through the home building process. Call today, 435-228-4702, or visit visionaryhomes.com to learn more about upcoming communities in Nibley, Logan, and Smithfield. Visionary Homes, built for living, built for you.
Hey, it's Al Lewis. We all know buttons make our lives easier. But if you have sleep apnea and can't use CPAP, did you know there's a button that can help you go from this to this. It's called Inspire. It's a small device that works inside your body with just the click of a remote. That's right, a button. If you struggle with CPAP, great sleep awaits at InspireSleep.com. Inspire. Sleep apnea innovation. No mask, no hose, just sleep. Inspire is not for everyone. Talk to your doctor to see if it's right for you. And review important safety information at InspireSleep.com.
Not sure what to give for a holiday gift? How about a gift card to Beehive Pub and Grill? Receive a free gelato with a $25 gift card purchase, or a free burger or sandwich of your choice with a $50 gift card purchase. Your friends will love you even more when they receive their Beehive gift card. Corporate promotions are also available. Open 11 to 9 weekdays and 11 to 10 Friday and Saturday. Beehive Pub and Grill is perfect for the holidays.
Thursday edition, Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show 2 days after an incredibly important election. What is the fallout? We'll continue to break it all down for you, in particular what's going on Capitol Hill, and will Joe Biden break his silence? Plus, Buck.
The COVID pandemic continues on. The fight over whether children will be subject to vaccine mandates at the top of the headlines. We'll get into that and more coming up on the Clay and Buck Show.
10 to 1 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM and 610 AM.
Every 2 minutes, a child becomes a victim of sex trafficking in the U.S. And you know what our greatest weapon against child trafficking is? It's our children. It's time to act with PACT. PACT works to teach students to identify the warning signs of child trafficking so they can help other vulnerable kids around them. Students can sign up for PACT's online training program to stop child trafficking. Go to pact.city to sign up for the 1-hour course today. We declare not one more victim.
Stories come to life at your local parks and forests. They're places of wonder, and they're closer than you think. Make the forest part of your story today at a local park near you, or find one at discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Something outside of Cache Valley election related I wanted to touch on today. I have no idea what this means. I'm not trying to read the tea leaves on this one. It's just really very interesting. Here in Cache Valley, of course, as I mentioned, there was only one upset, which was in the mayoral race in Smithfield. Everything else, I think, played out about as planned. Although I will say I predicted that Prop 1 would probably fail. I didn't predict it would fail by as much as it did. The vote total on that one, just a wide margin between those opposed to moving forward with this mixed development with some higher density in the middle of it, 8 townhomes alongside single-family units. I guessed earlier in the week that it would fail. The Prop 1 would fail. Prop 1, this was kind of confusing again for listeners. So Prop 1 was, of course, saying you agreed with the city and wanted the approved development to move ahead. Voting against Prop 1 was saying you wanted the handbrake to be thrown up for this reason or that reason, and for the city to go back to the drawing board on that development, working with the developers and even neighboring cities. So that was the sentiment of voters, and again, that didn't surprise me, but the margin was just huge on this one. So we'll see where this goes in Providence, but other than that, a few surprises, if any, here in northern Utah. Not the case along the Wasatch Front. And I don't know the politics of each and every race or every city involved in this, but headline today in the Standard Examiner that in the Davis County area, 9 cities in Davis County, voters swap things up pretty big between city councils and mayoral races. 9 cities are expected to see all new leadership after the election that took place yesterday. That's rare. I don't know. Again, I don't know if there's something behind it. There are hints here and there. The people who lost, one was not seeking re-election but was embattled. Kaysville Mayor Katie Witt, if you remember, she ran for Congress and she got into some hot water planning a huge campaign event in the middle of the pandemic, and Kaysville voters apparently didn't really like that. She didn't really resign, but she kind of stopped coming to work, and for most of 2021, and from what we've been reading at least. And then she didn't seek re-election, knowing that it probably wasn't going to go well. She is going to be replaced by a candidate that actually made that the cornerstone of her campaign. A candidate with the last name of Tran, saying that this was the kind of thing that put Kaysville on the map in a bad way. It became a national headline. And her campaign website said, during the last several years, we've experienced good, bad, and ugly. We've been self-interested, and we've we've seen self-interested politicians prioritize their future political careers over what's good and right for us locally, bringing national politics into our city. That was basically the campaign pitch from this candidate, who was successful and won election as Kaysville mayor yesterday in the final, or the preliminary results at least, released. But again, this is just one of 8 other cities that saw a pretty big change of the guard. Now, in some of these cases, the mayor wasn't seeking re-election, or a council member wasn't, but in the majority of them, there was an incumbent, and the incumbents didn't fare well. From West Point, Clinton, Syracuse, South Weber, Bountiful, Farmington, North Salt Lake, Woods Cross, all of those cities have seen some kind of an upset where an incumbent council member or mayor did not win re-election. And I would love to know what's behind this. Again, I don't know. I'm not, familiar enough with the local politics or the local policy that was going on. There may have been issues that could range on everything from housing to infrastructure and sewers and things like that. And so who knows? And again, the one race, Tammy Tran's race in Kaysville, that's the one we can know. This was voters rejecting that embrace of national politics by the former mayor, Katie Witt, who was, she was running for Congress at the time. It's no secret why she did what she did, hoping to get a rallying cry behind her as all of this was playing out in 2020. It didn't work. Kaysville voters resoundingly handing Tammy Tran a victory by thousands of votes in the Tran, by the way, a city council member. And so she'll take over as mayor. That one we can kind of divine the reasons for. The rest of them, though, I have no idea what this is. But it's not a common occurrence. Incumbents in Utah, more rarely than other surrounding states, lose office. Incumbents are most often reelected if they choose to run for reelection in Utah, barring some sort of scandal. But whatever's going on along the Wasatch Front there, again, 9 cities are going to see just a completely set of fresh faces heading into 2022. And that runs again from West Point to Woods Cross, North Salt Lake, Farmington, Bountiful, South Weber, Syracuse, Clinton, all of those cities, Kaysville, as I mentioned already, all of those cities seeing incumbents go down or embattled council members choosing not to run for re-election, and all fresh faces, or a lot of fresh faces in these. So it'll be interesting to watch to see if there is some kind of sentiment in all of this that is going to stick around, or if it was specific. I have a hard time believing that there was one unique issue in 9 cities that led to this. There has to be some kind of overall climate along the Wasatch Front leading to, again, 9 cities just in Davis County that changed the guard, in some cases entirely, in the election yesterday. Interesting stuff, and I'm sure the political scientists at USU and BYU will be digging through possible reasons and theories on this over the coming months. We'll reach out to them and see what they come up with, but check it out, a list of the 9 cities that completely changed the guard in their municipal offices yesterday on Election Day. It's linked on our Facebook page. That is our time for today. Thank you for joining in, and be sure to tune in with us tomorrow. We'll be talking theater with Charlie Schill, and we'll talk with more of the candidates who were successful in this election and one who wasn't, that says he plans to stick around for a very specific reason when it comes to Logan City. That's tomorrow on For the People. Dave Ramsey is next here on KVNU Logan.